You talk about 18 businesses along the way. What was your first business?
So the first official LLC or the first business?
First business. I mean, I think for us to really get to understand, like, the character of an entrepreneur, we know it doesn't start at 18 years old. So
let me give you the brief background.
Yeah.
My first business was probably lemon juice packs, okay, that I would steal from Grandy's when my mother was in college. We'd go to Grandy's, this little chicken place after she had her school, and I'd go with her and I'd steal these lemon packs. And I'd take them to school, and they were bitter, and so it was cool. It made your face pucker up, and I started selling them at 10 cents. One day, the manager caught me stealing them, and I wasn't stealing them maliciously. I was young, but he was like, "Hey, dude," and it would have been reasonable for him to really chew on me, but maybe he was like that first mentor God gave Zia, and he was like, "I'll sell it to you. These boxes are a few bucks. I don't remember what he charged me, but my mom bought me my first box, and then I had to start selling them and coming back to Grandy's and buying these boxes of lemon juice. So I'd get like the whole big box of them, and I'd go to school and sell them. That was my first business.
How old were you?
Grade school, third grade.
Third grade?
Yeah, how old are you in third grade? I don't know.
Yeah, like 8 years old. So you started real early, because I did the same thing in 8th grade. So you started way, way earlier.
I like to go into drivers. What drove me was my dad, when I was 7 years old, we lived in this little trailer park in Canutillo, grew up very poor, and he wanted to do the American dream thing. He wanted to open his business, set our family free, brilliant guy, member of Mensa, engineering mind, didn't have the college education, right?
Member of Mensa, though. That's way more important than college.
Yeah, right? And, at one point, he quits his job, starts working in our little shed next to our trailer. And this guy could make anything. Like, he was making car parts for people's fancy cars if they didn't want to buy the actual parts from Ferrari or Porsche or whatever. He was doing everything. He was a metallurgical engineer by trade. And he didn't know how to bill, didn't know how to charge, didn't know how to collect. This went on for a few months. My mom lost her job. Money gets scarce when you're poor really fast. The fight happens. This frying pan gets thrown across the room, lodges in the wall, sticks there for a second, clanks to the floor. My parents never fought. We grew up poor, but tons of love, so the memory resonates, right?
For sure.
And I don't know all the words that she said, but I remember these. It was, "A real man can feed his family. Go collect what you're owed or don't come home." And my dad is this badass, like freaking star football player, like caught the football in one end zone, runs it to another end zone. He's incredible. Is at risk, and I'm at risk of losing him. And I get taken as the charity piece. We drive to a house not far from where I live now. My dad meets with this guy, probably 5'9". My dad's like 6'4", towering over him. I know exactly what's going to happen. My dad could kill this guy with a napkin. He's going to demand his money. We're going to get paid. We're going to go home. It's fine.
Everything's going to be okay.
But it didn't. It didn't go that way. We already know it didn't go that way, or it wouldn't be a good story, right? And so it goes into this demanding and then kind of negotiating and then asking and negotiating and then begging and groveling. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching this. I'm 7. I don't understand money. I don't understand a lot of these things. But I can tell that, when someone's depressed. Their shoulders don't look like this, held back, chest high. You could see them kind of inching forward. I'm watching my dad go into this state where here's my hero, only my hero's being destroyed.
Right.
And my dad got some money that night, but it was a compromise. It was a tiny amount. It wasn't what he was owed. It was a fraction. And this guy knew what he was doing. He was smart. He took advantage. And I remember I felt hatred for my first time at 7 years old. It was pure hate. If I'd had a gun, I'd shot the guy. Okay.
Right.
We rode back.
For what he did to your dad.
Yeah. We rode back to a Smith's. It's in Albertsons now, but I sat with a box of ramen noodles on my lap heading home. That's what we could afford to buy. That's how little this guy gave my dad. It was something like, here's $20 or $100. The guy owed my dad thousands, okay? Which in those days was a lot more money than now. And he got enough to get groceries. He quit his business that day. He went and got a job that next week. And he gave up on his financial dream so he could save my father. And it drove me into this understanding that money was the meaning of life. I don't think that now, but
it's a reasonable conclusion at 7.
At 7, sure. And it made me this corporate asshole. Everything was transactional. Everything was give and take. And for
zero sum.
Oh God, yeah. people that maybe don't like Donald Trump would have thought he was nice compared to me in business. I was cutthroat and gangster, and I had to solve the money problem because I wasn't solving even for my wound. It was my dad's wound. I had to help that, right?
Yeah.
And 2019, I've made, God, at this point, I probably had a net worth of somewhere between $5 and $15 million, depending on how a banker analyzes your assets, right? And I got a call. My dad went to sleep in his favorite chair. He didn't wake up. My brother-in-law calls and says, "You need to get over here. Your dad's gone." I say, "Where did he go?" He said, No, bro. Come here. And I could feel like everything in my body, just this thinking. And I drove over there. I don't know how, because I cried the whole way there because I already knew,
Yeah.
And it was a shift in paradigm. That was the worst day of my life and the best day of my life because it was the most important lesson my dad ever taught me. My dad taught me how to go out and create and build formulas and measure. I mean, my mother was a psychology gal, so I've got some of that too. She used to always say, "What is the game and how do you win?" Everybody has a game. If you can figure out the game, you can measure the game. If you can measure the game, you can win. And so that, with the fear that was placed in me with that meeting with my dad, it made me this corporate marauder. And losing him, I finally found something that was immeasurable, and it was loss.
Mhm.
And I looked at everybody around me that I loved, and I started realizing, oh shit, we're not invincible, we're finite. Money's not the meaning of life, love is the meaning of life. And what's happened is all of my formulas have more than proven true to an extent that it's ridiculous, because now I have months where I make almost as much as my entire net worth was back then. But I'm no longer driven by a negative emotion. I'm driven by something different now. It's like, how do we create more? How do we give more? How do we achieve more? How do we serve more? And like the biggest paradox in fucking life is deserve. Yeah, anytime anybody's like, I wonder if I deserve. If you make an incision, you cut in. You make a decision, you cut off. So when you're wondering about whether you deserve, it's a negative energy. Well, why did Christ come? So that you could deserve. Why did he come? Because he didn't deserve. Oh, shoot. Well, and whether you're Christian or not, you get the analogy, right?
Yeah.
But when you start operating from a better energetic standpoint, everything goes exponential.